Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. The best game of the weekend is probably Friday night. So tell your friends, tell your family, can't go out. I got to watch St. John's at UConn. That is right. The Johnnies headed to Storrs. By the way, UConn fans are mad at me right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But there is no point spread. Ken Palm does kind of look ahead lines. I'm tripping up. UConn hosting St. John's. Storrs, Connecticut, Gamble Pavilion. By the way, before we even get to, so Ken Palm has a line out. I think it's like St. John's is a 1-point favorite. Before we get to the preview itself, I can tell you this. This is going to be as good of an atmosphere, I believe, as you will see basically in college basketball, maybe all year long. I know Arkansas, Kentucky at Rupp was amazing last weekend. I know Duke, Carolina was great. But I am telling you, from just my own personal social group, I probably know a dozen people going to this game. It is the hottest ticket in college basketball this week. It's almost $200 get-in price. For people who don't know the setup at UConn, they play half of their home games at the Excel Center in downtown Hartford. It's about 25 minutes from campus. That place is bigger, and that place is like a cathedral. I remember when Dan Hurley got ejected a few years ago against Villanova. He said, I felt like a gladiator walking into and out of battle. But Storrs is the campus, and Gamble Pavilion is the on-campus arena. And I will tell you, it is as crazy of an environment as there is in college basketball, especially for a big game. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, from the St. John's perspective, listen, we just talked about St. John's on Wednesday's show. That incredible win over Marquette, credit where it's due. It wasn't always pretty, but they got the victory. As far as this team is concerned, listen, I've said it a few times now. This is the most quintessential Rick Pitino team I have ever seen, okay? Pitino, for years, he is always going to value toughness, athleticism, because basically, I think his argument is the same thing. Frankly, this was kind of Jim Calhoun's argument back in the day as well. I can teach you how to defend. I can teach you fundamentals. I can teach you footwork. I can even teach you how to shoot better if you're not a good shooter. The one thing I can't teach you is to be 6'8", 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan. If God didn't bless you with those gifts, I can't help you. And that's kind of the Pitino philosophy when it comes to recruiting. Big, long, athletic, and you're seeing it with this specific team. You're seeing it with this group where, again, Kadari Richmond, 6'5", 6'6", as basically your de facto point guard. You look across the list, what's his face? Aaron Scott is that big, long, athletic guy. RJ Luis, that big, long, athletic guy. You go on and on down the list. They are big, they are athletic, and they do the two things that Rick Pitino's best teams always do. They have great defensive pressure, force a lot of turnovers, and they rebound the crap out of the ball. Okay, we talked about this a little bit going into the Marquette game, but St. John's top 15 nationally in turnovers forced. Only Marquette is ahead of them in that category in the Big East, and then they rebound the crap out of the ball. One of the best rebounding teams in all of college basketball. That's what they do. They want to defend. They want to force turnovers. They want to put pressure on you. They want to rebound, not give you second chance points, and get plenty of second chance points themselves. The issue that's worth noting with St. John's, they are not a perfect team in any way, shape, or form, and Rick Pitino will let you know. What St. John's does not do well, and this is important going into a big road game, the toughest road venue that you've played in so far this season. They are not a great three-point shooting team, and they are not a great foul shooting team, okay? So 29% from three. Listen, in the modern era of college basketball, that's just not very good. It is kind of interesting to me, by the way, unrelated, kind of the old school coaches, they just don't value three-point shooting as much as the younger guys. Calipari has never valued it necessarily. Eric Musselman, who's obviously been around for a while, that was a big complaint about some of his teams through the years. Love Coach Muss, by the way. Got to catch up with him. They got a big Friday night game too, USC at Purdue. And Pitino's kind of the same way. Just three-point shooting is not important, 29%. And then here's the big one. They are a 68% foul shooting team, something that certainly came up in that game against Marquette. They do win 70-64, okay? But this was a game where they shot 3 of 16 from 3. And here's the big one, 17 of 31 from the three-point line. That's 58%. By the way, for those of you who forgot what Rick Pitino's thoughts on that game were, or maybe more importantly, what his issues are with this team and their shooting issues, this is what he said after the game against Marquette.
How much enjoyment are you taking coaching this group?
Well, it's twofold answer. I'm having a great time because they give me everything they have. When they shoot the free throws and when they shoot from the field, I want to kill myself.
So what's wild about that audio, I guess Pitino actually said it on the broadcast to Bill Raftery after the game as well. I was searching for it on social media to send to producer Matt this morning on Thursday morning, and I couldn't find the John Fanta clip. And I said, producer Matt, just search Rick Pitino, I want to kill myself, and you'll have no shortage of options. But listen, it speaks to the fact that, listen, they are one of the best stories in college basketball. If the season ended today with Louisville losing the other day, I would probably give my National Coach of the Year to Rick Pitino. But it doesn't change the fact that they're not a perfect team. Don't shoot the three ball well. Don't shoot foul shots well, which is a concern. So we've talked enough about St. John's coming into this game. Let's talk about UConn, because UConn, ironically, their last game was also their biggest win of the season, and it was also against Marquette. That one was in Milwaukee. And what was interesting about that game was kind of almost like the St. John's thing, but in reverse. UConn does some things really well. They struggled with some others. What did they do well against Marquette? They shot the crap out of the three, the opposite of St. John's. 12 of 19 from behind the three-point arc. Solo ball with 7 threes made, and they also rebounded the crap out of the ball. More importantly, maybe a little bit of a concern coming into this one, they had 25 turnovers. 25 turnovers. Yeah, now to UConn's defense, Marquette, like St. John's, forces a lot of turnovers, but that has to be a concern. Beyond that, listen, I don't know how we got 6-7 minutes into this preview without mentioning it. UConn's best player is coming back for this game. Liam McNeely, I don't think it's officially official yet, but he was a game-time decision for the Marquette game on Saturday. UConn has not played since Saturday, no midweek game. And basically, he was a game-time decision. I think Dan Hurley even said in the post-game press conference, we expect to have Liam McNeely back for the UConn game, or for the St. John's game. I bring it up, by the way, Hurley is going to have a Thursday afternoon press conference. It has not happened as we record, so he might say Liam McNeely's a full go, but I would expect that independent of whether he actually says it or not, I expect Liam McNeely to play. So I bring it up because that's the preview of the game. Now let's get to the pick. And the pick, to me, I don't want to say it's easy, because I think St. John's the best team in the Big East. I really do. And I do think the way that they play gives UConn some problems. They force a million turnovers. They're a great rebounding team. This isn't the most skilled UConn team that they've had. But I don't think it changes the fact that, even though they have weaknesses, so does St. John's. And because of it, my official pick, I like UConn to win in Storrs. I'll say final score 71-66. So basically the same score as the St. John's Marquette game. Listen, the St. John's story is awesome. 2 reasons I like UConn in this game. The first one, I do think, I just think that home crowd advantage is a difference. Okay. And I said it earlier. I've been to a million games at Campbell Pavilion. Listen, there are a lot of great arenas in college basketball. I've been to Rupp. I've been to Fog Allen. I've been to Bud Walton. But UConn, especially on campus, is as good as any arena in college basketball for a big game. And I'm just here to tell you, I'm telling you, this place is going to be freaking crazy on Friday night. I told you, just from my social circle, probably a dozen people are going. And it's a 10,000 seat arena. And maybe I know more people in Connecticut than the average person, but I know people that are flying in from all over the country for this game. So tickets, like I said, are going to be $200. It's a Friday night. The crowd's going to be crazy. By the way, shout out to Ted's, which I'm pretty sure is probably going to be packed from the second that they open until 5 minutes before tip-off. That's the bar that's right on campus. It's going to be crazy. I do regret not going, by the way. Had roughly 1,000 people that's a rough estimation, ask me over the last 3 or 4 weeks, like, Torres, you should come back for this game. Torres, you should come back for this game. Torres didn't end up doing it. I already regret it, because Gamble is going to be crazy on Friday night. And I think the other thing, too, is when you go into a hostile arena like St. John's, for me, you can't give away points. And when you shoot 68% from the field, from the free throw line, if you go to the line 15 times, you're giving away 4, 5, 6 points there just with your average. And that's assuming you hit your average and don't shoot 58% like you did the other day. Also, 29% three-point shooting. I just think that's a difference. I think that's an X factor. So because of it, go ahead and give me UConn to win. That is, in my opinion, the game of the weekend. I could not be more excited.